Okay, I think we're on. Anybody hear me? I'll explain what happened. Can you see me? Excuse the clutter in the background. And the reason why it wasn't working is I was using Apple's thing, whatever it's called, Safari, and Safari won't work. So I had to switch over quickly to Chrome. Yeah, Chrome. And Chrome seems to work. You're now live, yeah. I think I need it's quite nerve-wracking. That's okay. Well, there's one person here, and that's obviously Mr. Cornish. Oh, and we've got someone down. Oh, you can just see her head. Hang on. Let's see if we can. Come here. Hang on. Can I say hello? Come here. Come here. Great along. Oh, good. Hello from Lassie. God, you big lump. There's Lassie. Lassie says hello. Okay. So we'll see if anyone else appears or anything like that. I'm assuming that you can hear me. Stick a comment or a message there, Mike, if you can. I think it's Mike. I hope it's Mike. Terrible with names. But I think, let's have a press of this button up here. Yeah. So at the moment, there's just one person watching, so that's fine. More will probably turn up later on, or they'll watch this later on. I did watch a couple of YouTube videos on what to do when you end up just sort of talking to yourself. You just excuse the jumble in the background. One thing I did, hello, Tom. I can see Tom. There's two people we've got now. That's great. So, Tom, you missed the fun and games just at the beginning. We've only just, unless, yes, you missed the fun and games a minute ago because I was trying to use Safari, and of course, Apple blocks every single thing. Great, glad you can hear me. Can I say hello? So, there's Lassie. Anyway, you can work the computer now. You take charge of that. You take charge of that, Lassie. It's going to be like Rod Hollanini with this, isn't it? And see you. We can hear you and see you. Good. And Lassie's getting excited. Come on then. Come up here. Come on then. Oof. Yeah. Yeah. And Philip. So lovely. 3 people here. Hello, this is Lassie to say hello. I was just saying, this is like Rod Hull and Emu, this, isn't it? I'll keep my hand here, obviously, and that hand, I'll keep my hands here, so there's no confusion over to what's going on with Lassie. Lassie, you're going to wave to the camera? I was saying we ought to leave Lassie in charge here. I need a swig of a drink in a minute. Yeah, so one of the things that Novice World Camper, nice, thank you. So one of the things that I looked at on YouTube was to clean the background. So you can see that I've obviously been taking notice of information that I read. Yeah, exactly, Tom. Yeah. I'll keep my hands up here, I think. Take your time today. My sense of humour will get into trouble one day, if it hasn't already. Yeah, so obviously I took great notice of cleaning the background and everything like that, but I didn't really have time to worry about that, and my camps are usually a mess anyway, so I thought, well, I'm not going to worry too much about that. You're probably used to a mess by now. So do we have many more people? Oh, the other thing I read as well, or saw on the internet, is only, in fact, everybody who's there has commented anyway. But if there are like lurkers in the background, like lurking, you know, don't call them out or anything like that. So if, you know, if Farmer Giles appears or something like that that's not actually talking, then, you know, even if I can see that they're watching, don't say, hello, Farmer Giles, how are you? Because they might just want to watch and not actually want to directly participate. Max Piper, nice. So there's a few more. Simon, he looks cute. If you've got any questions, ask a question and I'll try and answer. What I was thinking of doing, well, I chat for about an hour. Yeah, so the reason why I was a few minutes behind, as I've mentioned, but the people catching up didn't even know I was behind anyway, is I tried to do a live stream with Safari. And of course, Apple don't like you doing that type of thing. So luckily I had Chrome already installed. So I just called up Chrome and it basically just almost started straight away, to be honest. So that worked out okay. William, hello William. So we're getting a little collection of people here now. So we'll give it another couple of minutes. We'll see if a few more people appear. Like I said, if you have any questions, put questions down or save them for another time, or write them, you know, put them down anyway. What I was thinking of doing is just wait like 5 minutes, just see if a few more people appear, and then I'll just tell you basically a little story about how I started going to Dartmoor, going back many, many years, you know, even before Sue and times like that, but, you know, going back a very long time to when I was probably like 14 at the first time that I ever went. So that might be worth doing. So I'll just give it just a couple more minutes, just see whether many more people appear. Pretty much everybody who's said hello is there. So Farmer Giles hasn't appeared yet. That's okay. Oh, God. So yeah, so I'm a big MLD fan. Looking at a Bivvy next. What do you recommend? Okay, Philip. So you've asked a question. Handy. Okay, good. What's it for, Philip? You know, do you want waterproof or do you want the super light Bivvy with the little window, or do you want the big window? And what are you going to put over it? Obviously, if you have the event Bivvy, which I used in my last camp, then theoretically you don't need anything over it. But I like to put the tarp over it, even just a small poncho tarp, which is what I like, just to put over my head so that I can do things and what have you like that. So if you want a waterproof one, then obviously the event Bivvy is really, and it's really comfortable. There's loads of room. Go for large. Waterproof with bug net. Okay, so I won't carry on talking about that one then. So I would go with the big head net version, as long as you can cover the head, your head. Otherwise, rain obviously will get in that big head net. But then if you have a big head net, you're going to get a lot more breathability from that. I have got the small head net. It's like a teeny weeny little pokey thing like that. And it works well. I find breathability fine on that. And obviously, if you're going to be in conditions where, you know, rain might blow in or something like that, then that's, you know, that's an option. What you can do, if rain was to blow in or there's a chance of that, just take something else with you. Because, you know, in my videos, I've always got that kilt. You know, you can always have something like, there's nothing an MLD kilt, but if you've got like some, I didn't mean take a, you know, don't take a pond liner with you or anything like that. But if you've got something that you could just sort of dangle over that small head net, the small one, because there's two, there's the big head net and the small one, if you know what I mean. You could probably even put your rucksack, if you've got your rucksack with you, because I've done that a few times. Just sort of stick your rucksack there, and then if rain starts to come in, just put your rucksack there, or just dangle your jacket. Maybe you might put a dangle your jacket or something, dangle your jacket or something like that over that head net. Or even if you've got the big head net, you might be able to put and the rain starts to come in, just use what you've already got. So if you've got like your waterproof jacket or something like that, then just put your waterproof jacket over it. It might stay in place, just maybe the catch on the back, get it like, I'm quite good at this, aren't I? Talking to myself. If you get like one of those clips, you could clip the back of your coat to the cord that comes down, and that might work. I'm not quite sure where the cord is in relation to the head net, but that might work. I have a DCM tarp for head cover, so as long as you've got okay, message there. But yeah, as long as you've got something that you can cover the head, I would go with the big head net, as long as you can cover what you are, what you've got there. Simon, your blogs are truly professional level. Thank you. Camping and watch horology suit you perfectly, plus educate others. Thanks, buddy. Yeah, it's a pleasure. I enjoy it. Been doing it now for like 10 years, messing around with this now. So yeah, got 2 on always now. So yeah, I did mention to the watch people, if they do want to pop over, I can talk watches just for a few minutes, but mostly we'll keep it to camping. Scout, hello Scout, and Max is saying hello tonight. Everyone start talking amongst yourselves now. So let me tell you a swig of water. I didn't bring tea in or anything like that. I like my tea, but I thought if I get through a load of tea, which is another thing I did look at on a YouTube video, if you drink too much tea, you need to nip to the loo. And I thought, well, I can't have you all chatting amongst yourselves too much. So that's why I thought I would just keep some sips of water. I'll bring the dinner next time. Hello, Stuart. Good evening, Stuart. Mr. Crane, nice to see you too. We've got a few people here now. You can probably see yourselves how many there are. 2, 4, 5. That's a few. So what I'll do is, how often do you get out hiking? To Dartmoor at the moment, I'm trying to get out twice a month. I used to try and get to Cheddar once a week, but with things how they are with family, I can't do that now. But I used to get around Cheddar every week. How often do you get other places than Dartmoor? And why don't you drink tea now? Why don't you drink? I'm not drinking tea now because I want to drink, because I like to drink it when it's relatively hot, and I don't like drinking it when it's cold. And if I drink the whole cup now, I probably need to nip off to the loo, and I don't want to leave you just sitting around there. You're all going to wander off if there's nothing happening here. Although Lassie probably could sit here and entertain you for a while. So that's why I'm just drinking just the water now and again. How often do you get out hiking? Yeah, I used to get out to Cheddar once a week. I can't do that now so easily. Just how things are here with family and everything. So I'm trying to get down to, how are you getting on with your new map on the watch? Yeah, it's brilliant. I'll come back to you in a second, Mike. So that's why I'm trying to get down to Dartmoor twice a month to get me out, get some fresh air. And I'm trying to do 2 nights once in a month, and then 3 nights the other time in the month. And so far, since about June or whenever it was, I started doing that. It's worked quite well. The only time I didn't, no, actually even August I did that, but I just whipped down quickly for 1 night at the beginning of August rather than the 2. But yeah, basically, to answer the question, rather than mumbling, Dwayne will be along here in a minute saying that I'm mumbling again. Yeah, basically I try to get down to Dartmoor, twice in the month, and that's pretty much it for hiking. I'm just tied up here with family at the moment, but like I said, that's how it is really. So Mike's asking how yeah, the watches, the mapping is brilliant on this. I'm not going to show it to you now because I'm not give my location away too much. But the mapping is absolutely brilliant on it, and I do recommend that you get the Torquay toaster mapping, and that gives you so much detail, because if you have an Ordnance Survey mapping, when you zoom into Ordnance Survey mapping, it stays at that magnification, or it stays at that thing, so you could end up zooming in and have 1 kilometer on your or your phone or something like that. Or you could put OS on this as well, I think, but it won't really work, because you'd end up having 1 kilometer in the screen, and it's like, I think it would be like too much data for you to be able to see everything. Whereas with the Torquay toaster maps, you can zoom in onto the map and you get more information. I'm rubbish at describing things, but you basically get more information on the screen. So when I was down on Dartmoor last week, I was coming from, as some of you know, most of you know Dartmoor anyway, I was coming from Kitty Tor, and I don't know if you remember, but you used to get from Kitty Tor down to, as if you were heading down towards that track, which is on the right as you're looking down, a Great Links Tor, and then you've got Bleak House over here, and there used to be a track that went straight down through, and I used to use that regularly all the time. I used it with Sue like dozens of times in the early 2000s, and then I used it quite a few times myself. They've actually shut that off now effectively. You can't go that way now. I did it with Darren in June or whenever it was, and it's mostly shut off, to be honest. So they've put white posts going like in a loop around, and you kind of follow that around, and you've got like a nice track going around there. So I'm doing a Billy Collier now, and I'm sort of distracting myself, and I'm trying to think, where was I going? Yeah, I remember. So I was a bit behind the other day, because I was camped down by the river, but just opposite Blackator Copse, on this side of the river, not on the Copse side of the river. That's Copse trees, not Copse. Oh, God. People can switch off in a minute if I say things stupid, but then I'm only ever stupid, so that's the best way, isn't it? So when I was camped down there, what I could have done, and probably should have done, is walked along the river and then straight up by Sandy Ford, like I did with Darren. And that's actually would be quite an easy walk up. But I thought, being a bit clever, I just walked straight up the hill to Steno Goats Tor, or whatever it's called, and then across to Kitty Tor. And when I did that, it was a bit steeper than I was expecting, and very, very tussocky. And my mum called at exactly the same time. So I got the phone in this hand, poles in this hand, falling all over the place. And it took, just from the bottom to get up to Steno Tor and Kitty Tor, like over an hour. And it was only like a kilometre. But because it was steep and really tussocky, some of you know the grass over there. So it took like ages. So I was running a bit behind. So I thought, when I got to the end of that path, to go left, as if I was going to go down to, when you watch my next video, which is coming out soon, you're going to see lots of Jedi movements and things like that. You'll understand when you see the next video, which I will publish very soon after this video, fires on Dartmoor and things like that. So, because that's a bit of a hot topic at the moment, if you pardon the pun, because people, we'll call them people, are doing stupid things and lighting fires where they shouldn't. So I've done a video on that. And when I got down to that point, I was going to go left directly towards Bleak House. And I thought, well, it's a bit rough trying to get to Bleak House. And then I remembered that there's in fact, I didn't remember anything. I then looked at my watch. We're still talking about this mapping on this watch now. We're still talking about this mapping. And I could see a path on the map just a little bit ahead of where that path was that goes towards Bleak House. And I could see it on the side of the hill. So I thought that's bound to be easier going than trying to walk along the bottom. Now that path on the watch, which you can see in real life when you're there, you won't see on your phone or on mapping. It's not there. And it probably won't be on any other mapping, but it's on the Talkie Toaster mapping, because you can add your own paths in and things like that. So that path was in. So I highly recommend Talkie Toaster paths mapping on here. They do like a subscription thing, but you pay so much each month or something, or a year or something. But I'm a bit of a, even though I do that, I'm a bit of a cheapskate really. So I didn't really want to spend monthly money when the mapping isn't likely to change that much, because a mountain is a mountain. It doesn't really move so much. So I just sort of paid the one-off thing and then maybe update it in the future. So yeah, I really do recommend that. Really do recommend it. You know, it is an absolutely brilliant watch, the Garmin Fenix 6X. You know, like I said, I wear it all the time. This one I take off at night, but this one I keep on all the time, track sleep and everything like that, or lack of sleep or whatever. Right, let's see what else we've got here. So how are we going? Hello. So Gear Junkie, hello. Gear Junkie and Lassie, of course, yes. Simon, if you had one watch to keep as your corral, one Rolex for life, what would it be? Okay, that's your one watch question then. It probably would actually be the Yachtmaster, because it was the very first one that I ever got. Plus, you can rotate the bezel both ways. It goes both ways, as I joke about. So that's kind of handy for timing things and things like that. I'm never likely to be diving or anything like that, so it doesn't matter if it turns both ways. So probably the Yachtmaster on that one. But then I won't be selling any of them. So whichever one I want to, just take anyone camping. Trucker Taff. Oh, I don't think I recognize that name. Welcome. Thank you. Nice to see you. I'm not a trucker, okay? But in fact, a porter called Mark, who you met. Oh, that's you, was it? A few days ago. Hi, nice to meet you at last after all these years watching your adventures. Yeah, I thought you said Welsh actually the other day. I thought some foreigner over there coming over here. You brought your passport with you. So yeah, nice to meet you too. That has happened to me about 3 times. Around about 3 times, when maybe more, but certainly 3 that I remember. Once I was walking Lassie, and locally, the bizarre thing is it's local too. I was walking Lassie quite locally, Timbuktu. I don't want to say where I'm living, obviously, most of you know probably where I am, but we'll say Timbuktu, you know, for the people who don't. And I was walking down the street, you know, past the souks at Timbuktu, and someone, I need to dream these things, I don't know. And someone said, "Oh, it's Tony Hobbs." And I sort of looked around, and he was walking around, and he said, "Yeah, I've been watching your video." This was like a few years ago now. But he said, "I've been watching your videos. It's really strange how someone, you know, recognizes you." And then someone else quite locally said they recognized me as well. Lived in Bath and Bristol for 26 years. That's probably because you lost your passport then you had to stay here. Is that right? The way you won't let you back over the bridge. But yes, it's kind of interesting to see. Yeah, it's kind of funny when someone does recognize you. I must admit, it's like, then of course I go shy and think, "Oh, what am I going to say? What am I going to say?" So it's kind of a bit strange. I probably would try and get a bit more used to it and try and have a bit of a laugh, because when someone does recognize me, I kind of sort of go a bit weird, well, more weird than I normally am. So Scout, do you explore different areas when you go out, or stick to the same spot? I don't see many trees where you go. Is that typical of Great Britain? We probably don't have as many trees, internet celebrity Tom, yeah. We probably don't have as many trees as we used to, because we cut all the bloody things down like 1,000 or 2,000 years ago. And then of course we cut more of them down 200 or 300 or 400 years ago, because all those ships we kept building to go and invading all the other countries that we took over and everything else like that. Now we can't talk about any of that now, of course, can we? But never mind. You can probably guess what my thoughts are on all that. Yeah, there's not so many trees, but there's a forest of Dean over in the foreign land over that way, which Mr. Tucker, which Trucker Taff, what was your name again? God, Mark, yeah, Mark. Sorry, my memory is awful sometimes for names. I was with Darren the other day camping, and I said Darren, I called him Derek or something stupid like that. So I edited that out of the video actually when I was doing it. Terrible with names. So you've got the Forest of Dean, obviously, over that way, and then you've got the New Forest over that way, and then there's probably other forests as well. We do have trees, but probably not as many as some places. And Dartmoor, there's very, very few trees on Dartmoor. It's mostly just open moorland and things like that down there. You've got the Blackator Copse, and there are some other places down there which you can't think of offhand. Someone write down some of the forests, and I'll name them, of Dartmoor, or the tree things or something. No, you didn't edit that out. I left that up, right? Okay, I left that in, did I? Probably deliberately then, just to we show someone actually watches the videos then, and then remembers bits that I put in. So yeah, there's not many trees, and I tend to go to similar places. You called him, did I say several times, did I? I knew it was once, but it was several times, was it? That's the trouble, you see. Wisman's Wood, yeah, Wisman's Wood is another one down there. But of course, what was I talking about? I forgot what I was talking about. I have to sidetrack myself now. What was I talking about? You better put, what was I talking about? I forgot what I was talking about now. Tom, mate, what was I talking about? Brain's gone dead. What was I talking about? Forests, yes, forests. Fenworthy Forest is another one, yeah, forest. I'll talk about trees, not forests, yeah. And the question that Scout asked, do I go to other places or go to the same place? Yeah. For convenience and just being able to relax, again, for personal reasons, I tend to go to mostly the same places. That's why quite a few of the camps over the last many months have been to the same place, because I just want somewhere where I can go relax and do sweet FA and just make some simple videos there and just try to relax and get some sleep and things like that. Because like I said, things are a bit tricky here. So I try to catch up on sleep when I go camping, which is kind of another reason why I'm going twice a month. But actually, I really, really enjoy going. And an interesting, don't remember, brain like mine and Tom. Another interesting thing, how the 2 nights and 3 nights started. I'll briefly cover I'll just go back to watches just for a second, because it is connected to that. And I think whenever I started doing this 2-night thing, was it last? It must have been 2 years ago now, because it was before this Ovid thing. And I met someone down on Dartmoor who was into watches, and I met someone down there. Actually turned out not to be quite as nice as I thought. But anyway, I met someone, nothing to do with camping or anything like that. And I had to go down on a Sunday to meet them. And I thought, well, while I'm down there, I'll camp the Sunday night and then just stay there and camp the next night, which I would have done anyway. And then I kind of sort of think, well, actually, this is quite nice, 2 nights down there. So it kind of happened from that, really. It was kind of more from accident than anything else. So this 2-night thing started. And then, like I said, a few months ago, I then started doing 3 nights and 2 nights. And it's just very, very relaxing and enjoyable. The only downside is that I'm making so many videos now, I'm actually quite behind. So I'm having to sort of triage videos a bit at the moment. So some that I might make now, you might not see for some months, but some I make now, you might see almost straight away. So like this fire video that I've done about these people that light fires where they shouldn't. That's like a hot topic at the moment. So I've edited that. I did that this trip. So obviously that's going to go up this evening. So that's like triage to be like an important one. They're all quite kind of important, but so I've still got videos back in June that I haven't done yet, because like I said, I'm camping so much now, I can't keep up with uploading them. And the other thing I read as well, or saw about YouTube, is to try and sort of schedule your videos. So I don't know how you all are with how the videos go up. It tends to be a bit, when it's done, I chuck it up as soon as I can. But some places, somewhere I said they schedule like on a Tuesday and then a Thursday if you're doing it twice, or scheduled days and things like that. And then people know when it's going to go. So I might try and do that, but basically as soon as I've edited something, then I chuck it up as soon as I can. All this talking, I get thirsty, but I like drinking a tea anyway, but at least I can spread it out. Okay, so how far do you hike to your camp areas? I'll come back to a question just before as well. Well, the one that I go to regularly is about 5 kilometers or something like that. So it's about a 50-minute walk. It's a very easy walk. And what I like about the one that I regularly go to, which is where you often see me, I know it reasonably so well now that there was a time when I didn't really want to be walking in the dark. And if I was going somewhere that I didn't know, I don't think I'd be walking in the dark. I think I'd be too nervous. But because that one I know it so well, when it's in the winter, and sometimes I can't get away from here for various reasons, until as early as I quite like to do, this more hand movement thing. So sometimes I can't get away as early as I would like. I used to get away at like 8, I used to get away like 6 o'clock in the morning at one time and get down to Dartmoor at 8 o'clock. That's what I used to do a long time ago. And then I've got to walk and that type of thing, for the day, and then camp in the evening. But like I said, I'm a bit more tired now, so I can't necessarily do it quite like that. And I can't necessarily get away first thing in the morning either. So now I'm finding that I'm tending to leave home lunchtime or early afternoon. By the time I get down there, it's often 4 o'clock or something like that. So, and then in the middle of the winter, it's dark then. So like I said, this spot where I go regularly, because I know it so well, I'm really happy. I've got no problems walking there in the pitch black. I know exactly where I'm going. I know where I'm going to pitch. So I'm more than happy going there. I know I can get to water and everything like that because I know exactly. So it's like a comfort blanket, I suppose. So these little cuddly comfort blanket things, because you know where you're going. Oh, favourite stove, William. Well, that's easy, really. That is definitely the Caldera Cone Sidewinder stove, and that's probably, apart from that one video which I did with the cheap thing. I did mention about Amazon a few times, and I put a thing there that I didn't get any sales, so they sort of kicked me off the affiliate program, because you've got to get 3 sales in 6 months. So I had an email from them because no sales went through. You miserable, I didn't buy anything. So no sales went through. So they kicked me off it because you didn't get 3 sales in 6 months. But actually, when I went on, when I had a look the other day, there was 3 sales. But maybe they went through after they sort of kicked me off. I'm not quite sure. So I have emailed Amazon and just said, well, actually, there are 3 sales on there that do appear to have gone through. So I'll see whether they let me back on again. So obviously I did that video, but when I was doing those cheap videos, I wasn't actually doing it for Amazon. And in fact, when you watch the video with the sleeping bag, I actually say in that video, oh, I could put this on Amazon. And I literally thought about it at that moment in time. Oh, I could actually just put some affiliate links for those cheap stuff. I didn't even think about it before. I just thought, you know, other people put different videos up and they can be quite popular. So I thought it might just be interesting, you know, just to put something a bit different up for people. And then it was only afterwards I thought about the affiliate links, really. But it was probably a little bit too late by then. So yeah, so the Caldera Cone Sidewinder. When you watch the fire video, which you're going to see, like I said, it's ready. But I haven't uploaded it, but it won't take long. So it should be live for you to watch within an hour or so with me finishing this. And then I've put some clips in that from the very early days. So you see Bess, and you'll see like the original cooker that I used to use, which was the Foster's can thing that I got from Trail Designs. And then I tried the regular Trail Designs cooker, but I find with those they're very, very good. But you had to have your pot. You had your pot, and you could put your stuff in the pot, but you couldn't put the cone in the pot. So you still had two things, you know, two packages to pack. Whereas with the Sidewinder, I can get every single thing in the pot. I don't think I got it down. I think it's upstairs. But with the Sidewinder, I have that 600ml pot, whatever it's called. If anyone knows what the pot's called, write it down. My brain's gone. But I got that 600ml pot, and then the cone fits in there. The little cooking thing that you put the meths in, that fits in there. The sporks and things like that fit in there. So every single thing fits, and the lighter fits in there as well. So everything fits in one small pot, like that, just like that. Apart from the fuel, which you and I carry separately. And of course, when I was going for one night, I took one bottle of fuel, and now I take 2 or 3. And then every single camp that I've done, apart from that cheap camp when I took a gas stove, I've always taken the Caldera Cone Sidewinder by Trail Designs, because it's just so small, light, convenient. There's nothing that can break, nothing that can go wrong. The only thing is, if your lighters fail, you can't light it so easily. So that's the only downside, you know, with that. But then luckily I had the matches on that trip, so that worked out okay. So that's that. How far do you hike into your hike camp? So I've done that one. Any other questions coming up? Are you fairly secluded out there, or do you encounter other trekkers? When I was camping this last trip, because it's on a fairly well walked area out to Linz Tor and the Blacker Tor area, there was a few people that walk along there. So I did see a few people that walk along there, and they said hello. It wasn't very many people because it was like a Tuesday, Wednesday. It wasn't very many people. But when I was with Darren, which was a Friday night, and we were down at Sandy Ford, we saw like I say loads of people, but quite a few people were walking to try and find somewhere to camp. We were like joking amongst ourselves, they're probably trying to camp near where we were or on our spot, but because we got there at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon or quite early, we just nabbed that spot. So we saw quite a few people walking along trying to find somewhere to, you know, to camp at that spot. And then they went up Linz Tor and found other spaces, you know, around there to camp. So in that area, yeah, you see a few people. Where my usual regular spot where I go, which I mentioned earlier, I hardly ever see anybody there. And then the place where I camped at the top of that valley, the tin valley, I'm died yet of tin poisoning, and I'm died yet of water poisoning. So the top of that tin valley, I saw a couple past once. and I've camped there, what, 2 or 3 times now. So apart from once when a couple walked past, that place I haven't seen anybody. And I've had 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 nights there, and I haven't seen anybody. And my regular spot, occasionally you'll get somebody walk close to camp, but not that close. And usually they're just like on the other valley walking across, and you can barely see them. So yeah, I mean that spot is very, very quiet, which is why I like it, because then nobody's walking past. So the less people that I can see out there, it's not that I don't want to see people, but you know, it's just nice with you camping. It's nice not to have too many people walking past. So yeah, I tend to try to. That's why I like it there, because it's quiet as well. Although unfortunately they've closed the car park there, so I've got to find somewhere else to park now, which is a bit annoying. So yeah, Tom, everyone knows that you're an MLD fan. Does that mean you have forgotten Hillyberg tents? No. I may not get out with the Hillyberg this year. I might maybe try and get the Acto out later in the year. It's just I like the MLD stuff so much, and the videos I'm doing, and of course with the newer stuff that I had recently, I've been tending to sort of, you know, stick with the MLD stuff. But I do try to get the Hillyberg out. I do try to give the Hillyberg a holiday once a year, and get the old Acto out. I must try and do another versus video sometime, because that's kind of like fun. It's a bit of a mixed bag, that one, because some people get the humor, and some people tend to be, affronted and thinking that I'm sort of taking the piss out of Hillyberg. And clearly, Hillyberg is simply the best tent manufacturer there is. Not as good as MLD, of course, but then it's apples and oranges, isn't it? I mean, clearly, Hillyberg, is very, very good. There's no, there isn't anything better. I don't think. There are other tent makes. There's another one that's actually quite good. Someone was using a tent the other day. I saw someone, was it Paul Messner, who was out in something the other day, and that looked quite a nice tent. It's quite lightweight. It had 2 doors on it. I'm not talking about the top tent, but there was another tent that someone was using. It was like a brown tent. It's maybe like a Norwegian company or something like that. I'm not so hot on all these other companies, to be honest. That actually looked quite nice. That looked quite good. But clearly Hillyberg, there isn't anything better than Hillyberg when it comes to tents. I find they're too heavy for me. That's why it's nice to use them occasionally, but they're just heavy. Nordisk, yeah, I think that's the one. I think it is Nordisk, yeah. Distracting myself again. So yeah, so obviously for tents, Hillyberg is as good as you can get, but they're heavy, and I try to get the weight down as much as I possibly can, because I tend to try to relax in camp. Basically I'm sort of I'll take literally all of this power pack wise, because I tend to sort of chill out in camp, and I'm making a lot of videos as well. You get through a lot of power, especially when you're there for 3 nights. You get through a lot of power, so I can get through all of that, almost easily. And there might even be, no, I think that is everything. So yeah, I get through that easily. So of course, these are heavy. They're not light. I mean, you've got so many of them. That's extra weight as well. So that's why I try to sort of keep the weight of the camping stuff. If it wasn't for power packs, the camera stuff, my bag would be like feather weight still, because obviously all the shelters I use are super light. The sleeping bags are super light. I just tend to use the MLD quilts, which I use, or sleeping bags. I use the PhD, which I bought years ago, custom made sleeping bags, so they sort of fitted me exactly, the zips exactly how I wanted, but they're all very, very light. I should go back to that question there. So it's basically to do with weight, and of course space, really. as I said in that tarp tent video, it's a brilliant tent. The tarp tent is a brilliant, light-ish tent. It's clearly not as good as Hillyberg and clearly not as good as MLT. But if you're a tent person and you want a tent, then the tarp tent is good. And I must admit, after like the 3 nights of being in it, I actually kind of got to quite like it. And the porches in it were not maybe quite as small as I was making out at the beginning, but they're still quite small and pokey, I must admit. I like to have plenty of sleeping area to sleep in, or enough sleeping area. You can't say there's plenty in the duomid, but I like to have enough sleeping area, but I do like to have as much porch area as possible. And that's where I think some of the tents tend to, I don't know, fail on, but it's maybe a bit harsh, but that's where a tent I find is the porch isn't so much space in the porch, whereas with the tarps and the duomid, and of course the superbid is massive, you've got so much porch room there, you have a party in there, and it's just nice to have a lot of porch space. And you probably saw with the duomid video, when I did a couple of videos with that recently, obviously it was like in May, but they probably just got put up a few weeks ago, and the porch space is massive in there, and if I was when I was in the tarp tent and it rained, I had to do the door up, and I didn't really want the door being done up. I like to have as much openness as I possibly can. I know some people like to sleep at night and close all the doors and everything else up like that, but I like to have as much open as is ever possible. And like I said, when it rained with the tarp tent, I had to do the door up. You can't not do the door up, because rain it's just going to blow in on you. Whereas with the duomid, the rain isn't going to, you leave the door open, and as long as it's not really, really blustery rain, it's not going to come in. There's enough overhang that you've got enough protection in there that you can still stick your legs out without your feet getting soaked and everything like that in the rain. And of course the superbid is even more space. That's probably actually where the duomid XL would be really, really good, because you'd have even more porch space. I just like a lot of porch space. It's just I just like space. That's why it was quite nice having the Bivvy this last trip, because then I had all the space in the whole world. I had the whole world space. Those videos you might have to wait a little while, but I'll get them up as soon as I can. So yes, I will try and get the Hillyberg back out again at some point. I mean, I never said it. And obviously I've got the Namos 3 GT when I'm feeling super fit. I mean, that's a bonkers tent, that is. It was absolute massive thing. The problem with the Namos 3 GT, for me, the door's on the wrong side. Most of you, I think, sleep on your right hand side like that, right? Well, get in and out of bed and get in and out of your tent on this side. Right? And you probably lean on this side as well to do your cooking and that type of thing, because that's how most doors are fitted for right-handed people. But I'm a bit squiffy-handed. I tend to do things a bit left and a bit right, but I'm probably more right in that. But when it comes to tent, I tend to lean on the right. So I find from that I need to have the door this side of me, ideally. But of course, with the Namos 3D GT, the door's on that side. So it doesn't really, because it's so big, it doesn't make any difference. But then when I'm leaning this way and the door's here, I can't see out the door. So you're just looking at green inside. And also with the Namos 3 GT, I like to be able to lean on this side, and preferably cook on this side in front of me, not where my head is, because then that's a bit awkward, because you've got to sort of sit up and try and cook where your head is, if that makes any sense. And that's awkward for me. And that's the only way you can do it with the Namos 3 GT, the way that it's set up. So it's a brilliant tent, and obviously stacks of room in there, but I have to say, it's not perfectly laid out for me. And that's the other, Tom, yes, that's the other brand of tent that I've heard of. And it might, yeah, I've heard of them as well. The Nordisk, I'm sure, is the one that I was talking about earlier on, because that company, I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce it, Fjällräven, maybe Fjällräven, I don't know how accurate that is. They do clothes and things like that, don't they, as well? I think that's quite good. I just like space, but yeah, it's always interesting to take a tent out occasionally just to see how much better the MOD stuff is, because there's more space, more room, more space. It's just really down to space and weight. I hope Hardy Tempests is still there. Hello, I hope you're still there. You haven't disappeared in the time you said hello. Scout, are you still able to get self-service or Dartmoor? I don't use InReach. Interestingly enough, and funnily enough, I was looking at their new satellite thing, the Montana 700 and 750, which has InReach. That kind of looks interesting, and I was half thinking about it, but then I sort of was really thinking, well, it's really quite big and bulky, and the battery appears to be, from what I've found, but I've been looking at a couple of videos on it, apart from the fact I really don't fancy spending that much money on that type of thing so much. The battery doesn't seem to last very long. I mean, on the watch, the battery, even with GPS switch, I mean, it's a tiny screen, so that makes a difference, doesn't it? But, you know, the battery on that Montana 700, from what I've seen on a few videos, it lasts like 8-10 hours. They advertise 18 hours, but I don't think it lasts that long. So I probably wouldn't even, I just don't think it would be worth me getting. So I probably won't bother with that. But it has crossed my mind. It's kind of like crossed my mind, but it's quite heavy as well. I've got enough weight, so I probably won't bother. Where I'm camping, if I'm standing up, then there's usually a reasonable signal. But I do find that when I get in the tent, or the tarp or whatever, and I'm lying down, then the signal tends to be very, very patchy. So sometimes if I'm fiddling with uploading a photo, or I'm trying to watch a video or a YouTube thing, or I'm just fiddling with the phone, I'm trying to get a message or something like that. I can be in camp, sort of, you know, with the phone up, lying down, holding the phone up, like that, just to try and get a bit of a signal when I'm lying down. So lying down is not a very good signal. When I'm standing up in my usual spot, it's a reasonable signal. Where I was camping this last time by Placator Copse, there was a signal, just. Again, same thing, standing up it's fine, lying down not so brilliant. But where I was with Darren at Sandyford, then there's no signal down there. By the time you've walked that extra, however much further it is down, I don't know how much further down there it is, half a kilometre or something like that, or a kilometre, then there's no signal there at all until you walk halfway up the hill, or you're at the top of Lindstor. And I think even the top of Lindstor, it's not brilliant from what I remember. Arctic fox. Yeah, I've not heard of that one. I've not heard of that one at all. I'll try and look it out. I'm quite narrow in what I look at. I am hoping to get to the Lake District next month, though. I'm hoping to try and get to the lakes in September, just with something a bit different. Deadfall Outdoors evening. You can catch up later on. Deadfall Outdoors. You can catch up. You can catch up on this. I never did my story. I'll save the story for another time when I run out of something to talk about. I'm going to get going in a minute because I've got a few things I need to do here. But I've really, really, really enjoyed this. It's been really good. I hope that you've all enjoyed it. Let me know what you think, how you think of it, etc., like that. I'll get this video up. I'll try and do this video on this fire thing straight away. It's ready to upload, so you can watch that. And then this worked out quite well. I enjoyed this. We didn't run out of things to talk about. I wasn't umming and ahhing too much. So we'll maybe try and do this again sometime in the next week or two, if it works out okay. Enjoy it. I hope there's another one sometime. Yeah, it was good fun. I think we could try and do this again. You're all joining in, asking questions. That's helpful. So any stories that I have, they can keep for plenty of time. So thank you all for your comments and your thank yous and everything else like that. We'll definitely try and do something again in the next week or two. Probably aim for Saturday or a Sunday again. Sunday seems to work out well. It kind of depends what I'm doing here and everything else like that. Dorset Piper, no problem. We'll catch up with you next time, but be sure that you watch the hour before. And thanks very much. I really enjoyed it. You've helped, and mainly I've been doing obviously the YouTube for like 8 or 10 years. Thank you very much for watching. I do it for my own fun and enjoyment. It's like a sort of self-therapy thing for me. Keeps me sane. Well, I'm completely insane as it is. And the people that watch enjoy it, as well. It's completely different here. We're completely bonkers and mad and everything else like that. So, thanks very much for all the support, all the comments and likes and everything else like that. Thank you very, very much. It really is appreciated the time and effort you take to watch and drop a comment and things like that. So, yeah, we'll see you again soon. I'm going to turn off the streamy thing now, and I will see you again soon. And I'll keep, hopefully this stays live. I'll leave this up. It's quite kind of fun. So we'll leave this up. Greetings from Netherlands. Hopefully Doug, or I think it was Doug in America, will catch up another time. So yeah, it was really good fun. We'll hopefully do it again. Thanks very much. Thank you very much. See you again soon. Bye-bye.